I bet you didn't know how much it could cost to fix that mysterious clicking noise in your 2019 Ford F-150's rear axle, so make sure you watch till the end to find out exactly what you might pay for the repair. Plus, I'll share some extra tips and insights that could save you time and money. Is your 2019 Ford F-150 making a strange clicking or ticking noise from the left rear, especially when you're driving at low speeds or making slow turns? You're definitely not alone. This is a problem that's been reported by quite a few owners. And today, I'm going to give you a thorough breakdown of what's going on, why it happens, how to spot the symptoms, and what you can do about it, including some new advice and resources you might not have heard before. First, let's talk about the basics. This clicking or ticking noise is most commonly reported on 2019 F-150S, and it can be pretty unnerving if you're not sure what's causing it. The sound is usually most noticeable at low speeds, like when you're pulling out of a driveway, maneuvering in a parking lot, or making tight turns. Some owners describe it as a rhythmic tick, while others say it's more of a metallic click that seems to come from the left rear wheel area. Interestingly, some owners have also reported hearing the noise more clearly when driving with the windows down or when passing close to walls or barriers that reflect sound. The issue mainly affects 2019 F-150S, built between March and October of that year, especially if your truck has the rear axle tag code S971M. If you're not sure, you can check your axle tag or VIN sticker, usually found on the axle housing or inside the driver's door jamb. It's also worth noting that some owners with similar symptoms but different axle codes have reported related issues, so it's a good idea to have any unusual rear axle noises checked out, even if your code doesn't match exactly. So, what's actually causing this noise? Let's dig into the details. According to Ford's internal document SSM 48493, the root cause is a rough, unmachined spot inside the left rear axle wheel bearing bore. This defect is typically found between the 12 and 3 o'clock positions inside the bore. During manufacturing, the machining process that finishes the inside of the axle housing sometimes leaves a small, uneven patch. Over time, as the wheel bearing rotates, it can make contact with this rough area, creating that distinctive clicking or ticking sound. In some rare cases, this defect can also accelerate wear on the wheel bearing itself, so it's important to address the issue promptly. The noise is often more noticeable at low speeds or when turning because that's when the load on the bearing changes, causing it to interact with the rough spot. In some cases, you might also feel a slight vibration or hear the noise get louder as the problem gets worse. If left unchecked, the clicking can sometimes progress to a grinding noise, which may indicate further bearing or axle damage. Some owners have reported that the noise can be intermittent at first, only showing up after the truck is warmed up or after driving for a while. Others notice it right away, especially after hitting a bump or making a sharp turn. If you're hearing this noise, it's a good idea to have a mechanic ride along with you to help pinpoint the source. Using a chassis ear or electronic stethoscope can help isolate the noise to the axle area, which is a technique many dealerships now use. So what happens when you bring your F-150 to the dealer for this issue? Here's a step-by-step look at the repair process. First, the technician will drain the axle fluid and carefully inspect it for any metal shavings or debris. This is important because metal particles could indicate a more serious problem, like bearing or gear damage. If you've recently changed your own axle fluid, be sure to mention this to your technician, as it can affect what they find during inspection. If the fluid looks clean, the next step is to remove the axle shaft and inspect the left rear wheel bearing bore for machining defects. The technician will look for any rough or unfinished surfaces inside the bore, especially in the area Ford identified. Sometimes a bore scope or inspection camera is used to get a better look inside the axle housing. If a rough spot is found, the technician will document it and prepare for the next step. Some shops may even take photos or video of the defect to include in your service records, which can be helpful if you need to escalate the issue with Ford. The only permanent fix for this defect is to replace the entire rear axle housing. This is a fairly involved repair that requires removing the old housing, transferring over the differential axles and brakes, and then installing everything into the new housing. The process can take several hours, depending on the shop's workload and your truck's configuration. After the repair, it's a good idea to have the alignment checked, as removing and reinstalling the axle can sometimes affect rear suspension geometry. It's important to note that this isn't a recall or a full-blown technical service bulletin. Instead, Ford issued a special service message, or SSM, which is internal guidance for dealership technicians. SSM 48493 outlines the symptoms, inspection steps, and the recommended repair. You can request a copy of the SSM from your dealer for your own records. Because it's not a public recall, you might not hear about this issue unless you specifically ask your service advisor or mention the SSM number. That's why it's a good idea to bring this information with you if you're experiencing the problem. Some owners have had success by printing out forum threads or online discussions about the issue to show their dealer. I've found several owners online discussing the same noise, and in many cases, Ford has covered the repair under the truck's powertrain warranty. If your F-150 is still under warranty, be sure to mention SSM 48493 and ask your dealer to check for this specific defect. You can also check your warranty status online through Ford's official website using your VIN. If you're out of warranty, the repair can get expensive since replacing the axle housing is a major job. However, providing your dealer with documentation and showing that this is a known issue may help your case. And in some situations, Ford has offered goodwill assistance. It's also worth contacting Ford customer service directly if your dealer isn't able to help. Sometimes a case opened with Ford Corporate can lead to additional support. If you're experiencing this issue, here are a few tips. Keep detailed records of the noise, including when it happens and under what conditions. Try to capture the sound on video or audio if possible. This can help your technician diagnose the problem more quickly. And always ask for a copy of any service documents or inspection reports. If you're a member of any Ford or truck owner forums, sharing your experience can also help others and sometimes attract attention from Ford representatives. If you're facing repair costs out of warranty, don't be afraid to ask your dealer if Ford can provide any assistance, especially if your truck is just out of warranty or has low mileage. Some owners have reported partial reimbursement or discounted repairs after persistent follow-up. I hope this detailed explanation helps you understand what's going on with your 2019 F-150's rear axle clicking issue. If you found this video helpful, please like, subscribe, and leave your questions or experiences in the comments below. And if you've had this repair done, let us know how it went, and if you noticed any improvements in ride quality or noise after the fix. Before we wrap up, let's talk about repair costs. If your truck is out of warranty, replacing the rear axle housing on a 2019 Ford F-150 can typically cost anywhere from $2,000 to $3,500 or more depending on labor rates and parts pricing in your area. Prices can vary, so it's always best to consult your local mechanic or dealership for an exact quote tailored to your specific situation. Also keep in mind that some independent shops may be able to perform the repair for less than a dealership, but make sure they use genuine Ford parts and follow the correct procedures. Thanks for watching, and good luck with your truck. Until next time.